Hey, I'm David Levin, and welcome to another delicious episode of Pop Goes the Culture, the behind-the-scenes stories of your favorite TV shows you wouldn't have known unless you were there. In part 4 of my conversation with Jasmine Guy, we go deeper into the story arc of the main characters on her hit 90s sitcom, A Different World. We'll talk about Bill Cosby's influence on the show. Now remember, this conversation took place before all the now revealed scandals were known to anyone. And Jasmine tells us how Debbie Allen put the cast through their daily paces. It's a revealing and funny look into the making of a sitcom classic. Interestingly enough, and maybe you could talk about the parallels between this, you were all of a certain age. I mean, you weren't necessarily college age, but you were all in that age where people sort of go through. College is a time of evolution for people. People are not the same when they're in the freshman year as they are in their senior year. And in a similar way, all your characters sort of had their arcs. Mm-hmm. So you got to sort of do that and play that, which also made the relationship sort of almost, you can make it work because they're all in these formative years. Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk a little bit about the evolution of those characters, and especially your character, how she changed over time and how she had to change becoming the central character?
I think the friendships were very important to the dynamics of the group, and I don't know what season we were in, four or five, but they wanted to change Freddie's character, so they made Cree blow dry her hair and wear heels, and Whitley basically gave her an extreme makeover. And, her beautiful curly hair was now straight, and she had on pumps, and I had to teach her how to walk and everything on and off camera. But I think I was like, I don't know that she would have changed that drastically. Like, I know 50-year-old Freddies. So that was the trick, not to go too far one way or the other from who they really are. And I feel that they knew who Whitley was. They knew she'd, be an art dealer or work in a gallery or not, she's not going to just all of a sudden get her hands dirty. And, with Charnel's character, Kim Reese being a doctor, and I felt that progression, and then the relationships, the love relationships, and really see a lot of growth to me, and probably because I'm looking at it and it's not me, it's probably in the Dwayne Wayne character. I mean, if you look at his character from the first season to the sixth, where he's an assistant professor, and how seriously he started to take life once he fell in love with Whitley, I think it's a beautiful arc, and it's real, and it happened kind of in a concise way because he was still a young man, but he stopped messing around. He stopped. Everything wasn't a joke, whereas Ron kind of stayed like that. It's like that character in Sideways. He just never grew up.
Good movie.
Yeah, good movie.
How much of Bill Cosby's influence did you feel on the set? Was his sort of, I know he was in New York and you guys were in LA, but was his hand creatively in there that you saw?
Cosby was the whiz. He was the whiz in the land of Oz that made all the decisions, but you didn't see him that much. But everything passed through Cosby and Alvin Toussaint. And I know that for a fact because I wrote 3 episodes, and they all had to go through, Debbie and Susan Fales, the head writer, Alvin Toussaint, and Cosby. So... and Cosby fought for us. We were on, and I felt the most respect that the show got was because of Cosby, and that no one gave the show its own props for being number 2, number 1, number 3 in the 6 years that we were. And always, we'll look at their time slot and look who comes before them and who comes after them, and it was funny for me to watch, from a business perspective, and kind of envious that we were there. But I feel it was a good show, and that we got a lot of help and we needed that help from Cosby. I don't think they would have kept us there.
There was also an educational component, I would guess. Diane Carroll spoke to us and told us about the morning calisthenics. You want to tell us about that?
Debbie made us work out every morning. And it was, stretches and crunches and jumping jacks, and she believed, and she's a dancer first always, that it brings us together. Because coming to the set and just getting your coffee and going to the trailer and not seeing the people you work with until the scene is an odd thing. And I didn't experience that until after I left A Different World, that I would feel alone and cut off, and it was harder for me to interact with people I didn't know as well. And that's also a theater background. You're going to kind of live with those people for 2 months before you start to perform. But film and television, that's not necessary. So Debbie made sure we had that as a communal thing, and she also believed it got our energy up,
What did you believe?
Well, I was a dancer, so I came from that, and I was used to just following instruction. But part of me was like, God, I'm an actor now. I don't feel like stretching before rehearsal. I've been doing this, for 10 years. But I did it, and I was always on time. And it was, Debbie is a very hard worker, and you have to work at her level when you work with her. But she's funny as hell, so it was always fun. And it was also a time to find out what people did over the weekend, and and Debbie had a thing about being late. But Debbie is harder on her women than her men, okay? And the boys would always come in late, Kadeem and Daryl. And one day we were stretching, and I noticed that Daryl was timing it to come in right at the end of the warm-up, like, how convenient. And I said, look, we were bouncing over. I said, I just want to know why some of us have to be on time and other people don't. And a hush fell over Jerusalem. I don't know if Daryl and I spoke for a while after that. But, then Debbie was like, what's wrong with you, Miss Thing? I said, Debbie, none of us want to stretch and be doing this, How come Daryl gets to come in? And, hey, and they're kissing and loving and, rest of us girls. But that warm-up was very familial. And we had that kind of tone on the set.
That's all we've got for now. Next time, join me when we continue to talk about Debbie Allen's changes to A Different World. And Debbie Allen plays the greatest practical joke in sitcom history. Seriously. Till then, quick question. Is it possible to watch a show produced under the auspices of Bill Cosby without it being tainted by the revelations of his bad behavior? Discuss it in the comments section. We'll do a show on it in the future. Okay, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Hey, don't miss Ask Them Yourself, a live version of Pop Goes the Culture where you can be part of the conversation via Skype or FaceTime. Ouch! Ooh, ow, ow!